Okay, my name is Dan Schultz, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about political activism. There's going to be some overlap from what Ned spoke about this morning, but reinforcement, you know, is always good. I'm going to try to give you some practical things that you need to know to be effective for getting out the vote, which is what this is all about. I'm a Republican, I'm a precinct committeeman, I'm an at-large member on the county committee of the Republican Party, but I'm not here speaking on behalf of the Republican Party, and I'm going to try to give this talk in a nonpartisan fashion, okay? But before I start, I'd like a show of hands of those who already are precinct committeemen. Okay, so it looks like it's maybe a little more than 50%. So some of this is going to be old hat for you.
You need to move
Oh,
over.
thank you. Some of it's going to be old hat for you, and some of it, can you move that camera slightly for me?
Okay.
All right, thanks. Some of it will be old hat, but I think you will learn some new things, even if you're a precinct committeeman already. But first I want to give you a little bit about who I am, so you know where I'm coming from on this. I thought I was involved in politics. I'm 55 now. I grew up in a little town in Wisconsin. I thought I was involved in politics when I got to Arizona after moving here from LA. I sent money to the Republican National Committee, and I'd get an embossed card back with my name on it. And I thought, you know, I was a sustaining member of the RNC. And I worked on a few campaigns, helped get out the vote, helped true the vote on some campaigns over in California. But I didn't really get involved in politics in my mind until I became a precinct committeeman, and I'm going to explain that. Now, a little bit more about me personally. Like I said, I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin. I went to Badger Boys State. My dad was a city councilman. My uncle was a mayor. Another uncle was a town clerk. So I was always involved in and around politics, and I knew how it worked. Then I went to West Point, and I graduated and I became an intelligence officer. I did literally had to recruit people first to go on secret and dangerous missions, and if they screwed up, they were not going to come back alive and probably would be disavowed by the government. So I had some experience in learning how to define a problem and then work back from the solution to the problem step by step backwards and try to get rid of all the extraneous stuff and just focus on what is going to help get the mission accomplished. So good at defining the mission and then trying to figure out a solution. And after our last presidential election, and again I'm going to try to keep this nonpartisan, I realized I had to do something. I especially realized I had to do something when I knew that I was already a precinct committeeman at that point. In my legislative district, over 2/3 of the precinct committeeman slots were vacant, and in the Republican Party in Arizona, over 2/3 of the slots were vacant, and I found out that nationwide over half of the precinct committeeman slots in the Republican Party were vacant, which means we were going into battle. We had gone into battle in 2008 with a party that was less than half strength at the fundamental level, the precinct level. So I realized I had to fix that. So let's jump in here and see what we can do. Like I said, I'm going to give some tools, ideas, and strategies to help. This is the most important thing, changing the outcome of the elections. So what I'm going to ask you to do is every time you decide, I'm going to do something, ask yourself, how will it change the outcome of the next primary and general election? That's how I approach everything that I do. Basically, I've asked myself this question: what if I only had 2 hours a month to devote to politics? What would I do? I know what I would do. I would spend those 2 hours a month at my monthly Republican Party meeting as a precinct committeeman, and I'm going to explain why. So, we all think of ourselves as political activists. I'm stealing this now from a guy named David Fitzgerald, who's the LD6 Republican Committee chairman right now. Okay, is going to a Tea Party rally political activism? These are, you don't have to respond. This is just a thought experiment here. Is going to this meeting, is this political activism? Is just voting political activism? Is writing a letter, just writing a letter to your government servants, is that political activism? And again, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to make you feel good about yourselves. I'm not here to hear myself talk. I'm not running for anything, and I'm not selling anything. The only reason I'm here is because I want to make sure that you, as Ned was saying, you do something so that my kids don't have to live under socialism. Okay? That's why I'm here. I want you to do something to help my kids. So, this is David's formulation of what a political activist is. You're not a political activist until you have had one of these in your hands, a clipboard, and you've gotten a signature from people to get something on the ballot. Precinct committeemen have to get signatures from people to get on the ballot. So unless you've done that, or get a referendum on the ballot, or get a nomination paper filled out for another candidate, unless you had a clipboard in your hand, in my opinion, you're not a political activist. Okay, and you elderly people, I want to hold questions until the end because I've got a lot to cover. You can do this by phone, okay? I know everybody can't go out in the middle of June and July here and knock on doors. It's brutal. I've done it. You come back totally soaked. But you can do it by phone too, and I'm going to show you that in a minute here. Political activists work to change the outcome of elections, okay? So, oh boy, that's too high. Okay, I say that Tea Partiers now have to take their tea partying indoors at these committee meetings, and that's where you can learn how to become a precinct committee. Now, we got to focus on the goal and the strategy to reach the goal. We got to unite. Okay, we have to unite where it matters. We're fighting a political war. Okay, political wars are fought with political parties, not tea parties, political parties. And I'm going to explain why. So if you want to become politically relevant, we have to get inside of a party, conservatives. Okay, this is a conservative group. Conservatives have to figure out which party of our two-party system. You can go to a fringe party. How's that working out for you? You know, with Ross Perot and, Pat Buchanan. We have a two-party system, like it or not, okay? And that's where you're going to win some results at the ballot box. Now, read the two-party platforms to figure out which one to go to. On my blog, I have a blog, and you don't have to write it down, theprecinctproject.wordpress.com, okay? And right after the 2008 election, I said, where on the internet is there some analysis of the political platforms of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party? I searched. There wasn't one. So I wrote one. It's on my blog. It's at the top of my blog. Okay, here's the big secret that political parties don't want you to know. And this, again, it's coming from, I'm a party insider now. You know, I get to go in the behind closed doors meeting of the Republican Party. It's really not that sexy. But we do have some executive sessions, okay? And it's my personal opinion. The big secret is that, as I said, half of these PC slots nationwide are vacant. Not just in the Republican Party, in the Democratic Party too. Actually, it's worse in the Democratic Party, okay? And so assume that the current slots are split about 50-50 between conservatives and others. And again, I'm going to use Republican Party examples because I don't know anything about the Democratic Party other than that they're in worse shape than we are, believe it or not. Okay, so if that 50-50, and you do the math here, right now there's a split about 50-50 between conservatives, generally. 50-50 between conservatives and moderate Republicans. And it's reflected in the leadership that we elect. Reince Priebus says he's a conservative, but he's not. Michael Steele said he was a conservative, but he wasn't. And who elects those people? It's the precinct committeeman in the end, okay? And I'm going to explain that. So the powers that be, they're terrified. They're terrified that you guys are going to figure this out and take over their party.
We
They
already
can't
have.
stop you. They cannot stop you, okay? Yeah, and we're getting there. We've almost done it. So, this is the way typically the parties will reflect themselves on a chart, a line and block chart, the power structure. National committees up here, power. And then the Arizona committee and the other state committees. Here's the county committees. Here's the legislative district committees. Here's the precinct committeeman down here, way down here in the bottom. Well, here's the dirty little secret. This chart's upside down because all the power really is here, okay? And it flows up. And you'll see I'm going to give you how the chart really ought to look. But the problem is down here, all the slots are filled. Here, all the slots are filled. Here, all the county offices are filled. The county officers, everyone's filled. Legislative district committees in Arizona, every officer slot is filled. But down here, less than 50%. And that's the problem. We're the problem. We, the people, are the problem. This is how the power chart ought to look. We got 218 million eligible voters. They elect representatives to the city government. They elect the county government representatives. They elect the state government representatives. Federal government, the president, and then the 9 Supreme Court justices. We got 218 million eligible voters versus 535 members of Congress, a president, and 9 Supreme Court justices. Okay, so in a constitutional republic, which is what we have, citizens the highest office holder. On top is a citizen, and below is everybody else. You've got to think of yourself. You're the highest office holder in the world. You're a citizen. But the problem is we're not united. We got to unite. So, let's see. Can't see the thing on the top, but this is national, and this is here in Arizona, okay? There's about 400,000 precinct committeeman slots in the Republican Party nationally. 200,000, half, are vacant. 50-50 split again. Here in Arizona, 6,700 PC slots. This is actually for Maricopa County. 6,700 PC slots for 710,000 registered voters. At the end of the 2010 election cycle, we had 2,935%, only 44% filled.